to start with VPC.
Okay. Yeah, miss, I'm lagging with yesterday's class. That's it.
All right. Yeah. And anybody who missed yesterday's class, please watch those videos. Right. Uh, Anybody who missed, I think Divya, you also missed, right? Anybody who missed yesterday's class, please watch videos from the drive.
Yeah, Basil, and real quick, also I sent you the email regarding the Java installation. So did
Uh,
you got chance to?
Not yet. Today I will check.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, so our next topic is VPC, virtual private cloud. Is what mean by VPC. It's not virtual private network. It is virtual private cloud. So it's more like you get a your own data center in the cloud. It's not just a network. Don't think it like a network. It's more like you are creating your own cloud inside AWS platform. That is what a VPC is. The most one of the most important topic in our training. How you design and set up the network infrastructure in the cloud. So I hope you still remember the things that we had learned, the IP addressing, right? Then the DNS stuff, right? Then NATing, right? Uh, Private IP, public IP. All these things we already had discussed when we learned the networking basics. So I hope you still remember that. So we will actually see how you can set up a network in the cloud and then you can run your infrastructure over there. That is the plan for today. So let us start. Devabrat, go ahead and mute yourself.
Okay, okay, Basil.
So click on services, go to under networking, you would see VPC. Click on VPC. So within this VPC page, you can see different things over here. On the left side, you can see the list of VPC that you already have. This VPC is nothing but a network that you are creating in the cloud. So if you click on this button, create VPC, it would ask you what is the IP range that you want to put in, right? For a network, I mean, if you want to create a private network, of course, it is a private network in the cloud. It is not a public network or anything. It's a private network that you are creating in the cloud inside AWS data center. It's a isolated network that you are going to create when you create a VPC here. So click on create VPC button over here and it will ask you to set some name. I'm going to give some name, let's say Jan2. Jan2 is the name I am going to put. They will ask you to put an IP block. Of course, you need an IP block, and this IP block has to be a private IP block. And you know the three sets of IP series which you are allowed to use in your private network, in your office, or in your virtual private cloud in AWS or inside your home. You are allowed to use a set of private IP ranges. Do you remember which they are? So within those ranges, you need to specify an IP block here. So assume I am expecting a number of machine to be created, a large number of machine to be created inside my network. So I need to choose my network range wisely. Maybe I'm expecting 2 power 16 up to 2 power 16 to be created inside my infrastructure. So in such situations, maybe I would go with a block something like 10.10.0.0 slash 16. What is mean by slash 16? 32 minus 16, 16, right? So this digit will vary from 0 to 255. This will vary from 0 to 255. So you know what this IP block means. It would start from this IP. It will end at 10.10.255.255. So those many IP addresses are available in this IP block. So I am creating a network inside my AWS account using this IP range as private IP. So click on create button. So basically I created a network. I created a network in the cloud. And this is a isolated network. I mean, no other AWS customer will have access to my network. This is a network that I have created. So this network is accessible only by me. If I want to create EC2 machine, now I can create EC2 machine inside this network. It's up to me to choose which network I want to create my machines in. So if you create a network, then when you create the EC2 machine, you know how you do that, right? You go to the services, then EC2 button. You create a machine. Click on launch instance button. In the third page, once you click on launch instance, it will ask you for selecting AMI. You select the AMI, then go next, select the instance type. In this page, you can actually choose in which network you want to put your machine in. So you can choose the network here. Jan2, I already created the network, and you can see that network here. I can select this option, then my machine which I'm going to create will automatically get added to that particular network. So I created the network. And I told you a network can be split into multiple subnets. Let's say you are in an office. Think about your office network, and you have different teams, right? You have finance team, you have IT team, you have developers, and finance team want to make sure that whatever data which they are transferring in the network, they do not want such packets to be shared with the networking team. Networking team is kind of little naughty to capture these packets that are going through the network and reading those packets. So, and the finance team want to make sure that they are sending some confidential data. Those data they do not want to be shared with the same network as the networking team. So what you can actually do is you can split the network. Within a network you can actually create subnets. So we already discussed about subnet. Within this IP range, you can create small IP block that can act like a subnet. So you can create subnets in a VPC. Basically, you are splitting the network into very small subsets. So that's what subnets are. So go to subnets over here, left side. Then I want to create a subnet within the VPC that I have just created. Jan2 is the VPC I have created, the big network. In that network, I'm going to create subnets. Click on create subnet button over here. It will ask you to set some name. I'm going to set some name as private. I can give any name, private, public, or any name I can give. I just put the name as private. I will tell you why I put the name private, but let's assume it is just a name. Forget it. So over here, it would ask you to select the VPC. That means in which network you are going to create this subnet. I am selecting Jan2, the network that I have created just now. I selected the VPC. Automatically, the IP block will pop up here. So I want to specify an IP block which is a subnet to this big network. This is the complete IP block. Inside this IP block, I want to create a sub network. Let's say, can you give me maybe I'm expecting maybe some up to 200 machines to be created in this particular subnet. So can you tell me an IP block that can actually accommodate up to 200 machines, minimum 200 machine? It can accommodate. Just ping me an IP block within this range, within this big range that can accommodate 200, minimum of 200 IP addresses. Just ping me in the chat. Yeah, 10.10.1.0/24. Perfect. 10.10.1.0.24. What it means is the last digit alone will vary from 0 to 255. So you can have up to 256 IP addresses within this block, which is good enough. I'm okay with that. Just make sure that, I mean, if you once you created the subnet, it is created. I mean, you are not allowed to change the IP block. So when you are creating the IP block, just make sure that you are giving some extra space. If you are expecting 200 machine to be created, you need 256 free IPs. So go with the next level so that you will never exceed this IP limit. And every subnets fall under one availability zone. You can choose which availability zone the subnet would be created. In Mumbai, there are 2 availability zones, right? In different region, there are number of 2 or more availability zone. In Mumbai, there are 2, AP South 1A and AP South 1B. So I want this particular subnet that I am creating, the private one. I want this subnet to be created inside this particular availability zone. Then click on S create button. So let me ask you one question. Let's say I created this subnet called private, and I placed that private subnet inside this availability zone, AP South 1A. So if I create a machine in private subnet, now I create a new EC2 machine in private subnet, then basically you know where that machine is going to be physically located. It is going to be located in this particular availability zone. So every subnet span across only one availability zone. You can create any number of subnet, that is okay. Within a network, you can create any number of subnet. All subnet would fall under exactly one availability zone. So if you create a machine inside this subnet, then you can assume that the machine is going to be physically located inside this availability zone. Now you click on create button. That's it. The subnet is created. Okay. Now I want to create one more subnet. You can see the total available IP is only 251, not 256. Actually, there is a reason. The remaining IP addresses are reserved for some different purpose, right? 5 IP addresses are reserved for some different purpose. That is the reason you see only 251, not for 256. Okay, I'm going to create one more subnet. Click on create subnet button. This time I'm giving a different name, public. Select your VPC. And I want this subnet to be created in AP South 1B availability zone. Give me an IP range that would fall within this range, and it has a minimum of 200 IP addresses. 10.10.2.0/24. Will it work? 10.10.2.0/24 is an IP block that falls under this big block that can accommodate up to 251, not 256, because 5 IP addresses are going to be reserved for some different purpose. 251 machine you can create. All of them can have a unique IP. So click on S create button. That's it. So the subnets are created now. 2 subnets are created now. Great. So what I did is I created a network, a big network, and I created 2 subnets inside that network, and I gave it different names. This subnet I am calling private. This subnet I am calling public. You can give a name for each subnet. So assume this network that you have created, you can create a number of machines, right? You can create, there are 2 power 16 IP addresses in this network. So you can create a lot of machine inside this network. Of course, you create one machine in this subnet, you can create one machine in this subnet, more machines in the same subnet. You can create a lot of machines. And all these machines will get a private IP based on which subnet they put into. They will get a specific IP. Let's say for public IP, the IP range is 10.10.2.0 /6/24 is the IP block that you have put. So if you create an EC2 machine in this subnet, it's going to get an IP address something like 10.10.2. something, right? 10.10.2. something. All these machines are going to get an IP like this. Okay. So now what I want to do is, so this network that I have created is a private network. Do you have any doubt on that? It is a private network. You add a machine inside this network, the machines are not connected to internet, right? This is a private network. This is something like your office network, which is not connected to internet. So it's like a network that is currently not connected to internet. If you create a number of machines inside this network, the machine can actually communicate to each other, but the machine cannot communicate with the internet. It's not configured to connect with them. So First, you want your network to be connected with the internet. It is possible. AWS provides that as a service as well. What you can actually do is go to the VPC page here. Then internet gateway, what you need to do is you need to create an internet gateway. Attach this internet gateway to your VPC. Basically, you are connecting your network to the internet by creating an internet gateway. So click on internet gateway on the left side here. Click on create internet gateway. Give it some name. Let's say IG1 or IG Jan2. You can give any name. Click on create button. That would create an internet gateway. Now you want to attach this internet gateway to the network that you have created. Mine is Jan2. To that network, I want to attach this internet gateway. That's it. So now perfect. I have the machine. I have the network. To this network, I have attached the internet gateway. I created an internet gateway, attach it to this network, and I have two subnets. Okay, great. Okay, great. So now your network is connected to internet. So now let me ask you one question. I created a machine here. I created a machine here. Can this machine access internet? Can they access internet? Actually, they cannot access internet yet. The reason is, even though the network is connected, physically connected, I mean, think about this is like a physical connection, even though it is not. This is something like your office network. You are connecting your internet. You are actually connecting your office internet to a gateway devices inside your office server room. It's like a physical connection. It does not mean that if you create a machine inside the network, the machine will get internet access. For that, you need to do some routing configuration. So it is something like, basically, by default, all these machines that you create in different subnets, they know how they can communicate each other. This machine know how to communicate with this machine because they can actually connect each other. They can directly connect each other. This machine can connect each other. So any machine inside the same network, they can communicate each other. There is no restriction for that. The machine already know how that is how they should connect. But when this machine want to connect to internet, or from internet you want to connect to these machines, then there should be a routing table which tells the subnet that this subnet, if any connection to the internet is going, those connections should go through the internet gateway. You need to add a rule saying that any connection which are not local connection means connection within the VPC network, any connection apart from the connection within VPC network, they should go through the internet gateway. Okay, so that rule you need to add in the routing table. All right.
Hey, Basil, Manoj here. Can you please show me the how you created the internet gateway? I tried to create it, but it says detached.
You need to attach it. You need to right click on the internet gateway, then select attach option, then you need to attach it to your network. That's what you need to
Okay.
do.
Okay. So it's in the B, right?
Yes. All right. So what you
Mr.
need to
Manoj,
do?
Mr. Basil,
Yeah. Yes.
I just joined the class right now, and you are talking about the topic Internet Gateway.
We are talking about VPC and join the class in time. Muzammil?
VPC, right?
Yeah, we are talking about VPC.
Okay. I'm sorry, sir. I will try to join.
And yeah, so what you need to do is routing table, you need to add the rules how the communication will go. One rule would be, there would be one default rule which says any connection within the VPC should be connected locally. That is the first rule. The second rule will be, if any connection is going towards the internet, it should go through the internet gateway. So you need to add two rules in a routing table. First, you will create a routing table. You will add these two rules. The first rule is created automatically. It is the default rule that you cannot delete also. It's a default rule. You can add one additional rule to say that any connection going to the internet, it should go through the internet gateway. Then you will attach this routing table to your respective subnet. Then that subnet machines can actually communicate with internet without any problems. Got it? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to I'm going to create a routing tables. I am going to create two of them. Yeah. So click on routing table on the left side. I'm going to create the routing table, create routing table button. Over here, I am putting some name, RT Jan to private. I am giving some name, RT Jan to private. I can give any name. So in this routing table, so I'm just creating the routing table. Later, I need to add the routes in it. Then I need to associate this routing table with my subnet. So click on routes tab over here. You can see the rules that are currently present in the subnet. You can see there is only one rule which says, I told you there would be one default rule whenever you create a routing table. The rule would say any connection going to this particular IP range should be connected locally. So what it means is, assume one of your subnet, you have a subnet and this routing table is attached with this subnet. It is not yet attached, but assume this routing table is attached with this subnet, and in this routing table there is a rule saying that any connection from this subnet uh, to any of this IP, let's say this machine want to connect to one of this IP, then those connections should be local. It should be locally connected, whether the machine, it should be the same subnet, or if it is a different subnet, whatever it is, this complete VPC IP range is the destination, then it should be a direct connection. That's what this first rule would indicate. So what I'm going to do is, I am not adding any extra rules. I am just attaching this particular subnet into the subnet that has the name private. I already created two subnets, right? One subnet is called private, the other is called public. To this private subnet, I am going to attach a rule. So click on this tab, subnet association, then click on edit button. You have the option to choose to which subnet you want to associate this route table. So private, I am choosing this private subnet, the routing table that I have just created, that has only one rule about the local connection. I am attaching that a subnet with this subnet called private. So click on save button. That's it. It is attached. Okay, great. You can see that in the list. Currently, this routing table RT Jan to private, it has only one rule. Connection to this IP block would be local, and it is associated with a subnet called private. Great. Now I am going to create one more routing table. Click on create routing table. This time I'll give it a RT Jan to public. Any name you can give. Select your VPC here. Click on create button. So I created one more routing table. This routing table I am going to associate with the other subnet. I have total two subnet. To the public subnet, I would associate this public routing table. So first I go into the routes tab here. Click on edit button. You can see this role is already there. This is the default rule which you would find whenever you create a new routing table. You cannot delete this also. This is the default rule that you cannot even delete also. It would be there. I want to add one additional rule saying that if any connection is going to the internet, it should go through the internet gateway. You got it, right? So that's exactly what I want to do. I want my machine to be able to access internet. This is the subnet. This subnet is public. To this subnet, I'm going to create a number of EC2 machine, and I want all this EC2 machine to be able to access internet. So in that case, I need to add a routing. I need to create a routing table first, and in the routing table there is a local rule, the first rule. The second rule is nothing but the internet gateway. I need to add a rule saying that any connection going outside internet should go through the internet gateway. This is the second rule I need to add into the routing table. And then I would associate this routing table with this subnet. Then automatically my machine can actually access internet. Let me do that. Click on edit button over here. I'm going to add a new rule. Click on add another rule. Over here I am mentioning any connection going to the internet 0.0.0.0/0. It is nothing but the entire internet, right? /0 is nothing but the entire internet. Should go through the internet gateway. Select the internet gateway from the drop down. Click on save button. That's it. You have added the rule. Now click on subnet associations button. Click on edit tab over here. Then you need to select the public subnet. Select the public one. Click on save. That's it. That's it. Now you attached your routing table with the public subnet. Perfect. So I will repeat what all things you have done so far. You created a network. Then you created two subnets. This you called public and this you called private. So two subnets you have created. And then you created an internet gateway. Attach this internet gateway with the VPC. Then you created the routing tables. And the first routing table, you added the rule saying that there was already one default rule which says local connection. The second rule says any connection towards the internet should go through the internet gateway. So this routing table you attach to this subnet, then machine inside this subnet can now access internet. Am I right? They can access internet. But in this routing table, there is only one rule which says local connection. And there is no any other rule which talk about how this machine can actually connect to the internet. So this machine, if I create a machine inside this private subnet, the machine cannot access internet. Am I right? Yes. So what are the difference between a public subnet and a private subnet in AWS? Public subnet is the one which is associated with a routing table that has a rule which contains the internet gateway. The simple definition of a public subnet in AWS. A subnet which is associated with a routing table that has a rule that contains the internet gateway. If there is a rule that contains internet gateway, then the associated subnet can be called a public subnet. Or what is a private subnet? Any subnet which is associated with a routing table, it does not have internet gateway in its rules, then it would become a private subnet. It's clear, right? What are the difference between the private and public subnet? The machines between the subnet, they can communicate each other. That's not a problem. Or the machine within the subnet, they can also communicate each other. That is not the concern. But they cannot. This machine cannot connect to the internet because they are inside, right? They are inside a local network and they are not connected with internet. They cannot access internet. Okay, great. So why you want private and public subnets? Why you want private subnet at all? I mean, why you would want to create a machine that does not get internet access? Actually, basically you are protecting your resources inside a private IP block, which is not visible to internet. nobody can connect to these machines because they are not there in the internet at all, even though they can communicate with the other machines in the same network. Maybe these machines may have internet access. So think about this: you have a WordPress setup, you have a machine, you have one network, you have two subnets, and in one subnet you have one machine which is running WordPress. In the other subnet you have one machine which is running your MySQL database, and your WordPress want to connect to the MySQL database through a network. They can communicate each other because they are in the same VPC. Even though they are in different subnet, they are in the same VPC. They can communicate each other. So inside the WP config .php file of the WordPress machines, you would specify the database credentials of your MySQL database that you can do. If somebody want to browse the WordPress website, of course, from internet, you don't want to directly connect to the database machines. That is not the case. You never want to directly connect from internet to the database machines. You are always connecting to the port 80 of Apache, which is nothing but the WordPress machine, which should have internet connection because you want to connect it from the internet. But how about the communication between the WordPress machine and MySQL? You don't need internet. They can communicate each other using the private IPs. So basically, there would be a number of machine. Basically, most of your machine in your infrastructure would not need internet connection. Think about Google. You are browsing for google.com website. You are getting a web page from a machine, and maybe that particular machine is connected with internet. But your request is being processed by different set of machine. Maybe this is a machine that is running the Google search algorithm. So this machine would send your search query to this machine. Then this machine will run the search algorithm and finally give the result back to this machine, and this machine will respond you with the web page. So basically, only this machine need to be connected with internet. The other machine are not necessarily be connected with internet. So what you can actually do is, when you are designing an infrastructure, you can actually make the machines visible to internet if the machine definitely need internet access. Otherwise, you would actually block internet access to those computers which does not really need direct internet access. Is it same like private and public IP? Not exactly. The internet access, I did not meant to say public IP. Internet access is more like, yeah, you can have a public IP on the machine that which has internet access. That would be the better answer.
Basil, I have a quick question. So, without the route table, can the machines in the network communicate inside the network?
Actually,
I mean,
there is a default rule in every route table. There is a default rule. Without route table, actually by default, there is a route table attached with each subnet. So even if you do not create a route table yourself, the subnets, a machine in the subnet can actually communicate each other.
and can two subnets in the same network communicate? I mean,
Yes, of course, they can communicate.
I mean,
They are in the same.
don't we need to? Yeah, I mean, don't we need to make any changes in the route table for them to communicate with each other? Let's say subnet 1 and subnet 2.
No need. Actually, this rule is the default rule, which would talk about the entire VPC range, not the any
Okay.
particular subnet. It talk about the entire VPC. That means any connection going to entire network, one of this complete IP block. That means which is nothing but your entire VPC should be direct connection. This rule would be there by default, and even you cannot delete the rule.
Okay.
Rule would be there by default.
And Basil, what is the difference between a gateway and a router?
I will come into that.
Okay.
Gateway, sometimes they are saying, maybe in our case, the internet gateway that we are creating, it does the same job as a router would do. Typically, a router is nothing but the devices kept on different parts of the internet that make the communication possible. Let's say you are sending, I'll actually come, yeah. Let's say this is your office and you have an ISP who is giving you the internet connection. So they have a router. So all your internet connection are going to this particular router, and from this router it is being sent to some other routers. This is Airtel router, this is Tata routers, and then it goes to different routers until it would reach the destination. Okay, great. The gateway, sometimes people inside an office, if you have a router which is provided by your ISP, or you can actually buy a router for yourself. You can buy a Cisco router and then you can put that inside your office. That would actually act like uh, a router which would receive the traffic from the internal machines, then send, make them connect, let them connected with the internet. It's possible. Sometimes what companies does is they would also add one gateway device, or typically this is also called NAT device, which we spoke about. The role of this machine is to convert the private IP into the public IP before the packets are being sent to the router devices. Because this router device can accept the packet only if the source IP of the packet and the destination IP in the packet are public IPs. So the router will reject the packet if that is not the case. I told you, if two devices on the internet, if they want to connect to each other, both devices should be using their public IP to connect to each other. Otherwise, they cannot connect to each other. So this is me on my MacBook, and this is my EC2 machine. I want to connect to this EC2 machine using PuTTY. Basically, I am trying to connect to the remote machine through internet. So of course, my packet goes through multiple routers, and finally it will reach the destination. But when my packet is sent to this router, the the packet will have a structure. It will have a source IP field, it will have a destination IP field, it will have some other data. All these things would be there inside a packet. So the source IP as well as the destination IP in the packet should be a public IP. Otherwise the router will not accept your packet, it will drop your packet. So what I would rather do is I would set up some NAT device. Basically, I have a public IP which I would configure inside the NAT device. Then I will configure n number of systems inside my home or inside my office. All this machine will get private IP. When this machine send a packet, the packet would first reach at the NAT device. Then the NAT device would do some network address translation, and the packet it will replace the source IP with the IP address of the NAT device. So now the packet will look like it is coming from the NAT device, which is nothing but a public IP. When the packet comes at the router, then router would believe that okay, this is a packet that can be sent to the destination because both source IP and destination IP are now public. So the router will not accept the packet if it is a private IP, if it find a private IP either in the source field or in the destination field. So the gateway device or the NAT device, sometimes you call it simply NAT, or sometimes you call it gateway, but better term to use is NAT. It's not right. The best term to indicate it is NAT. So these are the difference between a NAT device and a router device. How NAT is computing the address IP or by an algorithm. I did not get the question. I think Dababrat, you meant to ask.
Yeah, like
Go ahead.
how that NAT is computing that address, like he is accessing, it is accessing the private IP. How it is converting by any algorithm or by anything?
There are some rules that you write down in the NAT device.
Okay.
Using that rule, there would be a public IP in the NAT device. So any packet which are coming to the NAT device, the packet would be modified with the public IP of the NAT. There will be a public IP in the NAT.
Okay.
Can I assign one or more elastic addresses to the VPC? Elastic IP address is again not something you have control over. The VPC we have been discussing about, it is just a private network, and right now we are talking only about this VPC, the private network that you are creating inside AWS. To the public IP, it's not up to us to decide. Actually, a public IP address or elastic IP address, you can create it and you can attach them to your machine. But remember, assume you are creating an elastic IP and you are attaching that elastic IP, which is a public IP. Elastic IP is a public IP, right? You are attaching that
Yeah,
elastic
so
IP to a machine in private subnet.
no, in the public subnet, can we have?
We can have.
So in the public subnet, if I have an elastic IP, will it be? I mean, we can have one or more of that, is it?
Yes, that will work. You can even choose to get a public IP on public machine. So let me ask you one question. Now let's say we are talking about the internet access only. I created a VPC. I created one public subnet. I created one private subnet. And you know how I did that. Let's forget about those things. Now let's say I want a machine which is in the public subnet. I have one machine in the private subnet. From internet, from using PuTTY, I want to connect to one of these machines. Can I connect to both machines? From internet, can I connect to both machines?
Only to the public network, right?
Only to the public machine, because the private subnet is not connected to internet at all. So no way you can connect to the machine in the private subnet from internet. Okay, so the public machine can be connected from internet. For that, what you need a public IP inside this machine, of course. Unless you have a public IP inside this machine, the machine cannot be connected from internet. So that is the second criteria. You should have a public IP. If you want to connect from internet, the machine can browse internet. Let's say from this machine you can browse google.com or you can connect to internet. That is fine. If anybody from outside want to connect to this machine, let's say you want to connect to this machine using PuTTY, or you want to browse HTTP EC2 name, then the machine should be public to internet, right? For that you need a public IP attached on the machine. You can either make sure that when you create a new machine, you can use the option enable, that right, when you create the EC2 machine, use the enable IP address enable option, then the machine will get a public IP, then you can connect using PuTTY. But if I attach a public IP, elastic IP, into the private machine, is there any use? You can do. You can still attach. You have an option. You can create elastic IP, right click on the elastic IP, then attach that IP to the EC2 instance. It's possible. But it's of no use at all, right? Because the machine itself is not connected to internet. No point in giving it any public IP. Simple networking logic. So what I would do is I will go ahead and create two EC2 machines, one in one subnet and the other in second subnet. I'm going to create two machines. First machine I will create in Jan2 VPC, our VPC. Select Ubuntu, select T2 Micro, select the VPC as Jan2, select the subnet as public. Auto assign public IP. Should the machine get a public IP or not? By default, it is disabled. I am changing that to enable. If I put enable, then the machine will automatically get one public IP. I need public IP on this machine if I want to connect to the machine using my PuTTY. Right? That's it. Click on review and launch button, and you know, right? 10.10.2.0/24 is the subnet IP block. So the machine that I am going to create will get an IP from that block. Click on review and launch. Click on launch button over here, right? Then click on launch instance. The machine will get launched. I'm creating one more machine, a second machine. Go back to the EC2. Then click on launch instance. I'm going to create one more machine. This time I'm creating the machine in the second subnet. RAM2 I selected here. Then 1B private, I select the private subnet this time. So I would give a public IP, but you know it's meaningless. I'm trying to assign. It would assign a public IP. I'm enabling this option so that I will get a public IP for the machine which I am creating. Okay, great. So I have one machine in the public subnet, one machine in the private subnet. 1B is my public subnet, right? Which is my public subnet. The one in 1B, yeah. So this is the machine in the public subnet. Let me call the machine public. This is my private machine. Okay, fine. So to this machine I can log in. It has a public IP. I can log in from my Mac. I open the Mac terminal by using the SSH command. So in your case, by using PuTTY, you can connect to the machine. Of course, the machine is public. Yes, I am logged in. Can I connect to the machine in the private subnet? Let me try to access from my Mac. It's my Mac. Of course, I will not be able to connect. It will simply time out because even though I attach this IP to the machine is in private subnet, which means the machine will not get internet access. I cannot connect to the machine from internet. So no point in trying. Okay, fine. So is there any way I can connect to this machine which is in the private subnet?
Yes, we can SSH from public to private.
Perfect. That I can do. I have a VPC. I have a public subnet. In the public subnet, I have one machine. In the private subnet, I have one machine. These machine can communicate each other. So from this machine, I can run SSH command if I want to connect to this machine. That's possible. And from internet, I can SSH to this machine using PuTTY. You can log in to this machine. Then once you logged into this machine, you can run the SSH command inside this machine to connect to the machine in the private subnet. That you can do. Okay. So let me try that. So now let me log into this machine in the public subnet. From the second tab, I will log in once again to the public machine. So now I am inside the public machine. I'm logged into the public machine using PuTTY. As in your case, you would use PuTTY to log into the public machine. Then I can run the SSH command, SSH-i December 14.pem Ubuntu @ then the IP address of the private machine. Which IP address should I use? Should I use the private IP or the public IP? Definitely private IP, right? So this command I can run from the public machine. So I will repeat again. I have two machines. This is the machine in public subnet. This is the machine in private subnet. From internet, I can first log into this machine. From this machine, I can run the SSH command by using the private IP of this private machine. The private IP I can see in the AWS portal, which is nothing but 10.10.1.226, 10.10.1.0/24. So can I run this command from the public machine? It is connecting, it is trying to connect, but it would say permission denied. And actually, there is no such file December 14 inside my public machine. The December 14.pem is the PEM file which I have saved in my MacBook. So from my Mac, I have to copy that file into public machine first, right? I hope you got it. This is the public machine. It's the private machine. If public machine want to SSH to the private machine, the public machine should have the private key of this machine. But where this private key is actually saved, it is inside my laptop in my MacBook. So from my Mac, I am going to copy this file December 14.pem into this public machine. Got it? So so from my Mac, I am copying this key. I am pasting that over here. I am saving this file. I am giving it securing the key with write permission. Now let me run the SSH command. That's it. I am logged in to the private machine. So even whether you are on Windows or Mac or any operating system you are using, first you need to log into the public machine. For that, if you are using Windows, you need to use putty, or if you are using Mac, you need to use SSH command. From public machine to the private machine, you need to use the same SSH command. Putty you use only in Windows.
Basil, what will be the configuration of all the host has been created under the subnet?
What is that? Could you come again?
What will be the configuration of machine which has been created inside the subnet? Now we have around 251 and 251 host. So what will be the configuration? Like for main machine we have 1 GB RAM and 10 GB of hard disk. So I mean,
Yeah, that's the same process, right? You choose when you launch the instance.
instance I understand, but inside we have some network and those all are virtual host or real host also we can say. So configuration will be same, the hard disk and RAM.
No, that's what I said. When you create the instance configuration you choose. It is nothing to do with the network, right? You can choose T2 micro, then it will get the whatever memory and RAM that you are choosing for. T2 small will get more. That's up to you. You would choose when you create the machine. The
So
machine,
all those will have the same configuration.
that's what it doesn't. You can choose. You can choose that when you create the machine. So it is only on this page where you are going to select which network the machine is going to be placed in. So placing the machine into a particular network does not really affects what configuration you want to put for the machine, right? And the machine configuration is different, the network configuration is different. You got
Okay.
it, right? Now, what I'm trying to say is, you created network, you have networks, you have subnets here. Now you want to create a machine, you want to create a EC2 machine. You can specify what configuration you want for EC2 machine, how much RAM you want, how much memory, hard disk, how much CPU you want. All these things you can choose from this page when you create the machine. And while creating the machine, in this configure instance page, you will get an option which subnet you are going to place your machine in. That is where you would choose where you are going to put your machine in. So it has nothing.
Yeah, I'm asking about these machines which are in our subnet, like network, that will be host only, some host.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Right. It's the concept is exactly same. Actually, these are not real machines, and even this network are not real network. Even though it would look like a real network to you, they are not. It is a virtualized network that you are getting from AWS. Even the machine, they are still virtual machines, not actual machines. That's
So
still.
memory,
Mhm.
so memory will be allocated to those all machines also, right?
Yeah, completely depends on how much you choose for any
So I
task.
mean, so if we remain, means if we created a subnet and we didn't destroy it, so Amazon is going to cost for it. Like we have now 251 hosts additional.
The network is completely free. You can create network and then you can assign the IP addresses. Unless you created a real machine, you created a EC2 instance, you are not going to be charged. If you create a machine, you need to pay for the machine. Apart from that, there is no charge for the VPC or subnets. It's absolutely free.
And later we can configure these hosts also. We can assign some RAM or hard disk. This is possible over the network, whatever the subnet we have.
Yeah, it's exactly same steps you need to follow as we discussed yesterday. It doesn't
Okay.
make any difference whether you create a machine inside a VPC that you have created or not. It doesn't make any difference. If you want to add more memory, you cannot add memory, right? In EC2 machine, you cannot actually add memory. Only option is you can change the instance type.
Okay.
Power key,
Yeah.
you can choose the instance type. So that we can do. That we can do for any machine, whether they are part of your VPC or a different VPC. Doesn't really matter.
No, I was not asking about the main machine. Means I was not asking about the EC2 machine. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
asking about the virtual host what we have got in our subnet.
right. Virtual host that we have got in subnet. Uh, which one you're talking about? The machine EC2 machine only you're talking about, right? These two machines that we have created in the subnets.
Yes, now this machine has a VPC which has number of hosts. So
They
those
have
hosts
only
will have.
IP. You just reserved the IPs. Right now there are only
Okay.
two hosts. This host and this host, which I have actually created. I can create up to 250 more hosts in each subnet because one I one machine I already created in private subnet, one machine I already created in public subnet. Now you have still 250 machine that you can create. All machine will get a private IP for themselves.
Yes, I understand that, Basil. I mean, sorry for interruption, but I just wanted to know. Now I have some 251 hosts. So what will be the configuration of those hosts? It's just an IP.
Yeah, they will get an IP out of the subnet space IP block.
Okay.
So what do you mean by
Oh,
configuration? It is nothing but the CPU memory, all these things, right?
Yeah. CPU, I'm asking those subnet hosts, means whatever 51 to 51 has been created,
Okay.
they will have some configuration.
Okay, one question. Right. You have created two subnets. Right? In the VPC, you have two subnets. And so far, I created two machines inside these subnets. So how much CPU and how much memory I am using total right now?
Yes, yes.
I mean, right? Only one CPU and 1 GB RAM on this machine. One CPU and 1 GB RAM on this machine. That's it. Nothing else. When I create machine, then I can choose how much RAM or CPU. I can choose the instance type. But right now, I have only two machines. I need to pay only for two machines. I can create 250 machines extra if I want. It's not mandatory. Whenever I create new machines, at that point, I can decide how much memory, how much CPU, how much hard disk I want for the new machines which I am creating.
Okay. But this CPU will have any default configuration or not in subnet, whatever the CPU
Nothing,
we have now?
nothing like that.
Nothing. So here I am now we are connected to 10, 10, 1, 2, 2, 6. If I give DA for DU command, so it will show some hard disk here also, right? So that space will be of main EC2 machine or this virtual
EC2
machine?
machine. EC2 machine.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Manoj, go ahead.
Yeah, Basil. I had to go to office, so today a little bit early.
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
No problem.
yeah.
We can
So
watch.
I'll watch today. Yeah, but please ask Raj to share the videos,
Yeah, I will.
please. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, let me check the questions. For Windows users. Okay, Yashwant, I think I already answered your question. Do you want me to explain again how you can connect to the private machine?
Yeah, Basil.
Okay. If you are on Windows,
As you can understand some.
yeah, if you are on Windows, one thing probably you may have noticed, I don't know whether you already had done that or not. If you have Windows and if you have PuTTY, you can open n number of PuTTY terminals.
Yeah, I can open. Yeah.
Right? And from this PuTTY, you can log into the public machine. To the same public machine, you can log in from the other PuTTY also. So what I'm trying to say is, to the same machine, you can log in n number of times. Whether you are on Windows or Mac, you can have multiple sessions at the same time to the same machine.
I have observed it. Yeah.
From this machine. So from Windows, you should use PuTTY to connect to this Ubuntu server. This is a Ubuntu server, Linux OS.
Yeah.
It's your public machine. From public machine, you want to log into the private machine, you need to run the SSH command inside the PuTTY terminal. That means inside your public machine, you need to run the SSH command if you want to log into the private machine.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
And we created when we just create institution. Yeah, actually, Padmaja, when we create a new AWS account, a new default VPC get created for along with every AWS account. That is why our EC2 machines have been working well. Probably you may have noticed. If you try to create a launch instance button, select your AMI, click next. There is a default VPC. This is created along with you registered for your AWS account.
Okay. Yeah, why is it so? Because AWS itself is a virtual. It provides only virtual machines,
Yeah,
is it?
actually, they made it mandatory that all machine must be in a VPC.
Okay.
Basil, sorry for the interruption. Like we are talking about only the same network. If things are in the different network, then how they will connect with each other? Like private, two networks are there. One private is there, another private is there. Then how they will talk with each other?
Uh, oh, it's a single network. What you are trying to say is there is one VPC and you have a second VPC. How they can communicate each other?
Yeah,
They cannot.
through
I
NAT.
mean, by default, they cannot.
Okay.
But you can actually have a VPN connection between two VPCs. That is possible. Let's say you have two VPC. I'm creating one more. I can create multiple VPCs inside my AWS account. Up to 5 I can create. So I created one VPC and I created a number of machine inside this VPC into different subnets or whatever. Then I created one more VPC. Inside this VPC also, I am creating machines. Can these machines communicate each other using the private IPs? They cannot. They cannot communicate each other because this is a different network. This is a different network. The subnets is actually not a problem. I mean, they are all on the same network. They can communicate each other, but one VPC cannot connect with other VPC. But there is a way of connecting it. You can actually establish a VPN connection between two VPCs. For that, it is cost. I mean, sorry, you need to pay some extra amount to get this done. Okay.
Okay.
So what we will do is today is, I mean, we will. What is the step-by-step process of creating a network? So Harsha, this is it. I mean, you need a network. You need subnets to be created. Your network should be attached with internet gateway. Then you should create routing tables. Then attach the routing table with your subnets. And if the routing table has a rule that contains internet gateway, that subnet would become a public subnet. Otherwise, it would become a private subnet.
And after that, we should create
Then you
EC2
can
machines.
create EC2 machines. I mean, you can, let's say, yeah, basically all these settings that we are doing, the routing table, we are doing the settings for a complete subnet, not for individual machines. We are doing so. Let's say earlier there was uh, there was no some route. Now I added a new route in the routing table. I added a new rule. That rule will apply to all existing machines as well as new machines in that particular subnet. It's a subnet wide settings, the routing tables. So watch the video once again if you need to today. And what we will do, we will wind up here today. And tomorrow there are few more topics that we need to discuss in VPC that we will cover tomorrow. And tomorrow we will start with the elastic load balancers and auto scaling. Okay.
Yeah, Basil, one more question.
Yeah, Harsha.
Is public subnet is compulsory in a VPC, or it is
Not
usually
compulsory.
an option?
It's optional. It's not compulsory.
Okay.
So at least
Okay.
there should be, most of the cases you need at least one public subnet, right? Because you would need machine if you want to connect to any machine from outside, the machine should be in a public subnet. So In general cases,
Yeah,
you
understood that.
probably would need at least one public subnet within a VPC.
Yeah, to connect from the internet,
Mm.
connect to that.
Yes.
I got it.
Okay, cool then. So let's continue tomorrow.
Basil,
Yeah.
my employer asked me next batch will start.